Hello there. Good morning. I am in my backyard garden. I'm reading from the Bible. Today I'm going to read a brief overview of the Gospels. I'm reading from the Holy Bible, New Revised Standard Version, and this Bible has study helps, and so that's what I'll be reading from, are the study helps in this Bible. But before I get started, I want to talk a little bit about what you see in the video this morning. One of the daffodil bulbs has bloomed. So when we came out into the garden this morning, we see this beautiful spring bloom. Okay, back to Bible reading. I'm reading a brief overview of the Gospels. The reading begins. The word gospel is from the Anglo-Saxon Godspell, meaning good news. Ultimately, the word comes from the Greek eugerlion, also meaning good news. Gospel can mean the good news preached by Jesus, or the good news preached about Jesus. These two meanings are the ones found in the Bible. Gospel can also mean the books that contain the memories of Jesus, the Gospels we find in our New Testaments. Gospels are not biographies. They are accounts of the life and teaching of Jesus, but they're also reflections on who Jesus is and what he means for the world. Each of the Gospel writers wanted to say something specific about the meaning of Jesus and carefully selected materials and arranged them to carry his own particular emphasis. The Gospels contain a great deal of historical information, but that information is always interpreted by the writers to show Jesus as Son of God and Savior of the world. There are 4 Gospels. Matthew, Mark, and Luke are called Synoptic Gospels because they follow a common synopsis or outline. These 3 Gospels can be studied in parallel because they follow the same basic outline, use many of the same words in the same order. Much of the modern biblical study is based on the assumption that Matthew and Luke used Mark as a basic source and outline. The Gospel of John is entirely different from the other 3. It does not follow the same outline, has a 3-year ministry for Jesus instead of 1 year, and contains long reflections about the meaning of Jesus instead of short sayings and parables. Mark is probably the oldest of the Gospels. Tradition says it was written in Rome by John Mark and contains the memoirs of Peter. The crucifixion and resurrection are the key to understanding who Jesus is. Nearly 1/2 of the Gospel deals with these events. Mark does not have any birth narratives, but begins with the preaching of John the Baptist. Matthew begins by placing Jesus within the whole story of salvation. Jesus is son of Abraham and son of David, the fulfillment of all the promises to God's people. The teaching material in Matthew is organized into 5 great sections, the best known of which is the Sermon on the Mount. Many have said Matthew saw Jesus as a second Moses, giving a new Torah to God's people. Luke's special interest is in the oppressed and outcasts of society, especially women and the poor. His gospel begins with the births of John the Baptist and of Jesus. It has the only story of Jesus between his birth and ministry, the episode in the temple at the age of 12. Some of the best-loved parables the Good Samaritan, the prodigal son, the rich man, and Lazarus are found only in Luke's Gospel. John has less narrative and no parables, but a series of long reflections on Jesus as divine Son of God. The Gospel begins with a great hymn on the Word, who was always God and became flesh for the salvation of the world. The Word is Jesus. John also contains a series of miracles as signs pointing to Jesus and the I am sayings, which express what Jesus means in a series of striking metaphors. Here ends the reading of a brief overview of the Gospels as taken out of the Holy Bible, New Revised Standard Version, NRSV with study helps. This ends the reading for today.